Good evening and welcome to Democratic TV, Democrat television for Democrats by Democrats. We come to you from the studios of Knoxville's own community TV studios, and with me this evening are Vivian Shipe, an advocate in the Community for Behavioral Health Urgent Care Center, which we'll learn about tonight, and Randy Nichols, a special counsel for Sheriff Jones on mental health issues, and a former district attorney for Knox County. As you know, the Knoxville City Council and the Knox County Commission each voted in recent sessions to approve and support an institution that will be called the Behavioral Health Urgent Care Center. Tonight we want to share with you some information from those most involved in the process that led to the development of the BHUCC, and from them we could learn about what the BHUCC is and how it affects and benefits all who live in Knox County. But first I wanted my guests to give our audience some background in their involvement in the development of the BHUCC. Randy, let's start with you. And what is the role you've been in since you retired from the district attorney's office?
Well, Doug, thank you for having me on the program. I look forward to this opportunity to talk about this very important move we're making in this community. Once I chose not to run for re-election in 2014, I went to work for Jimmy Jones, sheriff. And he asked me to concern myself with three topics. One, of course, was the mentally ill that we have incarcerated in our jails, domestic violence issues, and this ongoing opioid epidemic that we're suffering. So he gave me a pretty full plate, and I appreciate that work. The Behavioral Health Urgent Care Center is one of the first things that the people are going to see, I think, now the results of the work of a lot of people, not just us.
Sure. Yes, right. Lord, no.
So Vivian, what about your background?
I am born and raised here in Knoxville, Tennessee. I am a strong advocate for this program, having a son that is mentally ill, and I have a nonprofit called I Am the Voice of the Voiceless. So, you know, the battle has been going on for almost 8 years, and so I like to say that we are part of a faith and works movement, strong, enduring faith that this would be developed because the Lord said it would, and then the enduring work that people like Randy and so many others in the community have never stopped fighting for till here we are at this spot at this moment in time.
Here we are. All right, so this is a toss-up question for either one of you and both of you maybe. So what is the BHUCC? What exactly, is it a building, is it a program, a set of clients, a set of providers? What exactly is it?
Well, it's a 16-bed, what we're designing and we're calling the BHUCC. It's a 16-bed mental health diversion facility where people that are obviously in crisis, that the police can recognize are in crisis, a number of the people we know already, we've touched before, and we know they suffer. And rather than taking those people to the jail, we'll now take them to this center and turn them over to the mental health professionals for up to a 3-day stabilization period. I won't go all the way into it right now, but the goal is to get people stabilized, hopefully reconnect with family, loved ones, get you back on your medicine, and hopefully then get you back out into the community where you can function. That's our goal.
Okay, right. And rather than just tossing them in a cell with a bunch of other guys where they don't get the services or any kind of things they need to get through that episode. Yeah.
Well, and we have Helen Ross McNabb, of course. We have a number of their workers in our jail, so we're staffed, but we're not trained to deal, and oftentimes the incarceration exacerbates the difficulties they're suffering. So we really found we work against ourselves.
Sure, exactly. Well, Vivian, I suppose Randy's speaking essentially from the county needs, although he certainly speaks with the sense of caring about them. From your standpoint, what is it going to do?
It stops that revolving door.
Okay.
Because you have those people that mental illness is a disease where you don't know that you're ill. And then you have those that have never been stabilized or those that went off their medicine. And so you have a revolving door of into jail, fines, back on the street. And this will stop it. This will get a chance to reconnect with care that they had. Those that have never had the care get an opportunity to be helped. So it's just going to be an awesome thing.
Okay, that's good. Now, where did you kind of start with it? I know, Randy, you've spoken many times about the issues that you have to deal with, but between the two of you, how did you decide that this kind of a center was what you would work towards, rather than another program, for example? Are there other programs like it around the country?
several factors has driven it. You know, I hear daily from the people that work at the jail, and then they tell you what their day is like in trying to deal with these people that are sick. It's gotten to be quite serious. We had 1,254 citizens locked up today at my 8 o'clock count. I had to leave before the 5 o'clock count, but it's always a little over 1,200 now. And the people that work there will tell you that we've got maybe up to 400 citizens that are locked up as we speak that are suffering. They cry out, they won't eat, they're afraid, they're very difficult to manage.
Sure, of course.
They don't obey instructions very well. And so we just build and build. And you know, we've been reluctant to talk about the cost, but that's a fair topic, I think.
I think it is, exactly. I've heard you talk about that before, so that's fair.
An average prisoner in Knox County, we spend $81.54 a day on average. Those that suffer on average is an additional $151 a day for medications.
So $230 a day right off the bat.
Right off the bat. And you're not getting any better.
Right, that's the point. It's just 3 or 4 days and out the door.
Yes. Yeah. And the average length of stay in Knox County now on those that suffer is gone from 18 to almost 25 days now on average length. That's before conviction.
Right.
And so you can see very quickly, Doug, you know, the amount of money the taxpayers are spending. Most people don't mind to spend it for safety, but they want some value back. And we're beginning to see there's very little value in just warehousing, nothing else happening, yet spend $3-4 million a year.
Gotcha. Now, Vivian, what I'm interpreting Randy to say is that these are people who are suffering, who are there not, and they're not somebody we want to convict. They're somebody we want to help.
Right, because and you got them in a situation where some of them being exposed to criminal elements that they've never, ever been exposed to. You're looking at your children, you're looking at veterans, especially your veterans that come back home. They've gone over here and they've seen things that they fought to keep us from seeing. And then they need an opportunity to have that help.
Right. So how will you determine who goes to this facility?
The police, those people, and of course now we're presently in our training, the CIT training, Crisis Intervention Team. Memphis, Tennessee, of all places, is the leader in the nation.
No kidding.
And developed the CIT. I'm told that roughly 300 uniformed officers in Knoxville, that's the KPD and the sheriff, we've got about 300 presently trained. The goal, of course, is to train everyone. And then once they recognize, and they'll know, as Ms. Vivian said, they've probably seen you before, and they know that you're suffering, and so we, you know, in fact, one of the biggest the supporters of the whole project are the police.
Yeah, of course. Now, one of the people who are going to be confronted or who are going to be involved inside this center are probably people who we might call chronically homeless.
And
not always, but often.
Right, and then they have another term which I don't like, which I don't like frequent flyers, but what it is someone who's, because they haven't had the help. They're in and out, in and out. And like you said, the officers do recognize them, and the officers don't want to take them to jail. Because they already know they're not going to get the help that they need.
So that gives you confidence that the officers on the street can make the decision, this guy belongs here, this one belongs there.
And as a mother of a child like that, I want to know that there is, that when that officer sees my child, if he's phasing, as an officer calls it, that he's going to be able to recognize it and take him for the help he needs, and not to somewhere where he's going to be further harmed.
My guess is that there are a finite number of people who are in that situation, and that's why the police officers know them, because they see them. It's not a changing population. It's not a bunch of vagrants. It's people who are in Knoxville, troubled.
Look, these are family. These are people who have lost their jobs. These are soldiers. These are children. You know, people. Life happens to people.
Yes, I know that.
That's who you're going to help. And once you get the center open, you're going to reduce that number of those that are frequently in there. And then those that are not being helped, they move up. You help people one soul at a time.
So and the process is that they will be identified by the police officer. They'll be found on the street for some reason, whatever that is. The police officer who finds them, who has called for them, will then figure out, because he's experienced or she's experienced with these people probably before, knows where they should go.
Right.
They will be in that center for a number of days, and the idea is to stabilize them at that point and then move them into a program that can move them further along. Is that correct?
Yes,
Helen
sir.
Ross McNabb. Yeah.
Right. Helen Ross McNabb will do all the work. They're the ones that got to be the only people that bid on it. Quite frankly, the only people that would have the capacity to do this work here locally. A 3-day stay, up to 3 days for the stabilization. Then hopefully move you on to a more. Get you in touch with the caseworker.
Yes.
The big problem we've got, I mean, I keep telling everybody, some aren't listening, is we're still short on permanent supportive housing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yes, I know that. I know that.
And you got to have it to have maximum opportunity,
Right.
and we're struggling with that.
Yeah.
Now, there's steps
That's
underway.
where the community comes in, because once the officer has brought them there,
Right.
they've been stabilized, and you're going
Right.
back to their family if they need further hospitalization.
Right.
Then you're looking at needing the permanent supporting housing. You're needing people for jobs.
Okay.
You're needing case managers. It's got to be a community
Right.
effort to restore those people. It's like Resurrection Week right now. So we're going to resurrect and restore these people's lives, but the community has to become involved and
Right.
to reach out and help.
Now, if you look at the community as a whole, how is the community going to recognize, or what kind of benefits accrue to the community who are not the clients but who are probably affected? I can see you're one of them that's going to be
Well,
helped.
I see.
aren't you?
I call it a
Yeah.
triple P.
Yeah.
You know, the people are going to be helped.
Yep.
The population of the jail is going to go down. And then from the city side, you know, there is a profit because you're job creation.
Yeah.
And you're also setting up something just like Memphis has. We are now going to be a flagship for the rest of the nation. This is how you help your voiceless.
How about the police officers who are now who can redirect their efforts to what really protects
That's
us?
the fourth P.
Yeah.
And of course now, if a police officer is called by a business owner, there's someone obstructing the sidewalk,
Yep, yep.
sleeping in the doorway,
Right.
urinating in the doorway.
Right.
Everybody would agree something needs to happen.
Right.
And rather, though, than taking an hour or an hour and a half to get that citizen to Maloneyville Road and booked and back on patrol, we think now the police officer is going to be off of his service duties for about 20 minutes.
That's a
Right.
big
Okay.
thing.
Right. It's a lot simpler. It will be a lot simpler process to bring him to the center and have him processed in there. Now, how many did you say will be in the center at any one time?
16.
Possibly? 16
is the maximum
okay.
right now.
And that's for 3 or 4 days till
Up to 3.
up to 3 days, and the goal is to then move them into another program. But it's the first. Some of them, it'll be the first time they've been in touch with someone who
Isn't that
wants to
awesome?
help them. Is that right? Or don't know
in
how?
our literature, when we see some other places,
Yeah.
there's a good percentage that can be reacclimated with family. See, that's the perfect goal right
Sure,
there.
exactly. Yeah.
So we think there's a number of good things that can
Yes,
happen.
Absolutely.
Now, you talked about the opioid epidemic.
Yes, sir.
Does that touch in this as well?
Absolutely.
It does. Okay, so this is part of the manifestation of that issue.
Well, our first goal, of course, is to those citizens that we know suffer from mental illness.
Yeah.
Now, that's first. Those people that are users and
Yes.
are addicted, we're not just going to push them to the curb, and they can be helped likewise. But now, we are focused now on the mentally ill.
Yes,
That
okay,
truly,
right,
that's
yeah.
what our number
Right,
one goal
right,
is.
exactly.
You know, we'll take it out, we'll test drive it, kick the tires,
Right.
and maybe we can
Right.
do some more later.
Right, exactly.
And then when you look at the opiate epidemic, some of the mentally ill, they try to self-medicate. They have that don't have help. So here they are, they're trying alcohol or trying the drugs to try to silence the voices, just to try to get through a day. So that's some of your opioid addiction problems that could be dealt with there also.
So if I were a client, I don't know, client. So you take me to that center. What am I going to? What will happen to me in those up to 3 days? What goes on at the center at that point? Do you know what Helen Ross McNabb will do, or?
Well, I'm not totally up to speed
Yeah.
on the process itself. I know that there will be psychiatric nurse practitioners on
Okay,
staff. There will be a psychiatrist that will
Okay.
to be advising. So
Yeah.
we've got very well qualified and trained people to deal with
Right.
the individuals. Now, of course, you have to agree to stay, and we can't force
Yeah,
you
I
to go.
understand.
And if you would rather go to jail, we can accommodate you. We
rather
hope there's
Rather
not
not.
many that pick that option.
Right, exactly. Do you have any experience here in Knoxville with that triage where you cannot, because you haven't been able to offer it, I suppose you haven't been able to figure out who will take it and who won't. But I'm assuming that there's a fair number of people who, given the option in a rational way, will make a decision to go there.
We think so.
Yeah.
That's what we think.
What do you think, Vivian?
Well, I think that when Lakeshore closed, it made a big void in this community.
Yes, exactly.
Because those people that were able to get help, now they're on the streets.
Yeah.
There's no help for them.
Right.
So here you have this program where they're able to. And remember I said, a lot of times people don't know that they need the help, but when they get into a situation, and you got to be able. That's when that medical professional, that Helen Ross McNabb, is dealing with them, they know how to talk to them. They know how to deal with them. They know how to say, it's like there's a situation right now in there's a restoration center in Texas, and their officers do not wear uniforms. They wear like regular clothing. But when they talk to them, when they take them to this center, what they're talking about, they're able to say, "Are you hearing voices? How you doing?"
Okay.
That's
so
what you got.
they're able to do some diagnosis at that point, or at least some help.
This is like my grandma's. That's their kitchen, and they know how to talk to them to make them accept the help.
All right, now I'm starting to learn this. I'm starting to learn a little bit more too that I didn't know. So there are enough people who have what we would call serious psychological issues, who are winding up without care because there's care. They don't either one know how to get it, or two, it isn't available to them. Now,
and if you're over 18,
you're on your own. Yeah.
Well, no, you have the right. If you're under 18, with just different when you're a child, and your parent can do something.
Okay.
But once you get over 18, so you got this group that's never had the opportunity to get help.
And you can refuse it too, I guess. The thing is, I guess the question is, the police officer, the first contact is critical.
Yes.
That person needs to know how to handle that situation, and that's going to be there's training already been done.
About 300 officers presently have received the training.
Right, exactly.
It's 40 hours of training.
Right, exactly. I would guess also that there's a certain area where there's a concentration of people who are in need and on the street, but not all are homeless, right?
Well, we now a good number will be.
Okay.
And will be living in and around the temporary shelters such as that.
Okay.
So that's where, because there's some food available,
right?
And there's a place to lay down when it's real cold.
Okay.
So,
right.
But most people, I just talked with a couple that every Saturday now they're driving and looking under the bridges for their daughter.
Right. Okay. Right. Yeah.
And it
just don't sound.
It just don't sound right to me.
No,
that we have to do that.
That's right.
Yes,
I tell you what. Yes, mental illness is a real issue, isn't it?
Yes,
in the sense
because
that,
it's the one that nobody wants to talk to. They push it in the closet. Like we don't talk about Aunt Jenny, or we don't talk about that.
Okay. Now, up to this point, theoretically, those who are going to be taken into the center probably have not had access to real care. How are they going to get access once they're through the center? How does Helen Ross McNabb navigate the bureaucracy to get care for them? Do you know? Is there a way to do that?
Now, Helen Ross McNabb has been doing that because they got Center Point, which is up there for about 19 years.
Right.
So they've already been working in the community. But once they come up out of this center, that, like Randy said, we have got to have people that are willing to embrace. Permanent controlled housing. We got to have case management.
Okay.
You have to have places for people, little bitty jobs, or to take them back to their families.
Sure.
A lot of people have not had that opportunity. Right. The families that, like when my son was finally stabilized, it's like for the first time in years, I saw. Right. I could see my son in his eyes again. But that is a great feeling. And then they can be engulfed. It's all about loving the people. We have got that we've got to love each other.
Now, does that mean that Helen Ross McNabb needs to find new funding to add staff? Does the city, where does this staff going to come from, or is it all of us as volunteers?
No, we've been very blessed. Mayor Burchett has just been a champion of this, and he put his money where his mouth is.
I can see that in what he
Mayor
said.
Rohero has put her money where it needs to be. And the state this year, Governor Haslam and members of the General Assembly were very generous to us because, we're not the only city in Tennessee that suffers, and everybody's looking for a solution.
Right.
We happen to be a little bit further ahead than some other cities in Tennessee, and so they're looking to us to test this thing.
Right.
And we believe that if it turns out like we think it will, it can be replicated anywhere in Tennessee.
Yes.
Well,
it's a 3-year program that we've got this project as far as the funding. But what I believe is going to happen is as the program goes on, they see the benefits of it. I just believe that it's going to grow. You know, I believe it's gonna serve the long term. I can see helping the young people under 18. I see telemedicine helping in there. I see people coming to Knoxville, like the jobs that are created. I see people coming to Knoxville, like they come for these different conventions and things. Show us how you did that. Take us to the center.
Now, one of the things that I hear about the center, particularly in the testimony that before the two commissions, or the commission and the council, is that there are people for whom it is a nervous situation to have this center in a neighborhood where they think there may be danger. How do you lay those fears? What can we help
for Randy? Because I know you can do it better, but I'm going to tell you. The NIMBY, which is not in my backyard. You know, that we understand that.
Yeah, I do.
And it understands and it works until it's your child and it's in your house and it's in your space. But see, now you've got a benefit of help. You know, those that are worried about it being in the community, but look what you've got. You've got a police presence. Where there's a police presence, there's a lower problem of any activities. So you got people getting their help. They're not coming outside. Everything for them is being done inside. And then those with the opiate, if there's an opiate presence in the community, they're going to scatter like ants too. That's the benefit.
And the only way you can get in is by the police bringing you. And the only way you can leave is by the police taking you away.
Okay, right. I think that probably is not clearly understood. And I think there's a sense that this is a residential place. It's not a residential place. It's a screening place.
Yes, sir.
And the screening place is to identify your need.
Yes.
And the needs could be a variety of things. But essentially what you're going to wind up doing is you're going to wind up filtering out the ones that are really in need of mental health care.
Yes.
That's the goal.
And those that are desirous of getting some help.
Right.
Presently, Helen Ross McNabb and here now for residential treatment now, the waiting list is over 1,000.
Oh my goodness.
Of people that want help. And they want it. They're begging for it, and we can't deliver. And that's not. We're a better country than that.
That's so true. That is
and we're a better nation.
And this is a step towards that. That's what it is. It might be a baby step.
But it's how you help people, one soul at a time.
Another question I have is, how long will it take you, do you think, before you can kind of figure out how do I adjust this? I mean, are you going to go a year and then reevaluate it? Are you going to go a couple years reevaluate it? As you're planning this out, what is your anticipation in terms of, this is a successful thing, or we need to adjust it and it'll go this direction? I mean, is it
you look at
6 months, a year,
goal. You're looking
2
to make
years?
sure that it's sustainable, it's measurable, that the goals are achievable. You know, they're able to do it in the community and other places, retrainable, reproducing, and that you can test it. You know, failure is not an option. If you have helped one person, if you help one person not to go to that jail, reconnect with his family, get medication, then you've already started. It's a win-win situation.
The staff at the center is going to be really critical, isn't it?
Indeed.
Yeah, I mean, they are going to need to know pretty quickly what they need to do, and they need to be able to convince the client who's there that this is a program that they should take the next step.
Exactly. Right? And it's in a setting that does not involve slamming steel doors.
Right. Yeah. Oh, no, I understand.
And we think that will be critical. And of course, we about everybody I've ever talked to anyway, they trust Helen Ross McNabb. They are a proven facility, proven successful. We don't think we could get any better.
I don't think so. I think for such a time as this, so you've got officers that are trained. They bring them right into a place that has been doing it for years and years and years, and they know what they're doing.
Right. So what I'm hearing you say essentially is that those who live physically around the center will not even really notice this.
Well, like Vivian has said, the center point has been there for a little over 19 years.
Right, exactly right.
Now with a number of beds there.
Right, yeah.
The building has gone on. I believe 2 major subdivisions have been developed around it.
Sure.
I mentioned that Chief Roush, zero calls for service at that facility in 19 years.
Right.
I don't think there's another place in Knoxville.
Right. I don't think there is either. That's exactly right. That just isn't.
So you know, and for people to think that the chief of police and the mayors and the sheriff don't care about their safety, you're being short-sighted. That's just not accurate.
Well, they're not listening. They're not listening. They're not listening because if you see them speak, you know pretty quickly that they're speaking from the heart when they talk about this issue.
And I hope they'll give us a chance.
Yeah.
That's all we're asking for. Help us as much as you can.
Help us to help others,
And
our citizens.
How long have you got a
citizens.
commitment for? How long have you got a commitment to the keep it funded and things like that?
We're solid for 2 years.
For 2 years. Okay. Well, that's
Solid.
and you think that's
And I'm believing for 100.
Okay, right. Okay, right. But I mean, the point is that you've got enough stability so that you can kind of get your feet on the ground before you have to make any future decisions.
I believe that after a year review,
Yes.
we are going to have a pretty good idea of this, what needs to be tweaked, what needs to be stopped, what needs to be added. I think we'll have a pretty good idea of that. And I go back and also being mindful of the taxpayers' money.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, the thing is that
$230 a day at the
that's a
jail,
lot,
right?
isn't it?
We're spending over $3 million a year to lock them up now.
And of the prison or the jail population today, you feel of the 1,250 who are there today, about 400 of them are in need of something other than incarceration.
Yes, sir.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. And that's what we're spending money on.
We think it will touch that population very profoundly.
Right. And like Vivian says, you get one on the track, you get two on the track, three on the track. Then you don't have repeat situations. You got people who stay, who've given enough time can get themselves stabilized.
Right. Right. That's exactly right. And it may not. Some are going to hit it and they're going to fly with it. And there's going to be some that may fall by the way, and they just got to get back up.
Right.
And we help them and we get them on the way.
Right. Okay, so that's pretty encouraging. Actually, I didn't realize that there were that many mentally ill. In other words, what my sense, sense was that these were probably substance abuse issues more than mental issues. The mental issues are much more serious in some ways, in that they take more therapy, I suppose, or more work. So that if you ignore that, you don't make any progress at all.
Right, you have to get down to the root.
Yeah,
you just don't pluck something from the ground; it's going to come back up. Helen Ross, the behavior center, will get to that root, and once you clean that root out, you don't have that problem again.
All right. Now, is there anything that we missed that we should really say to the audience to set aside whatever reservations they may have had for an opening?
Our plea is to please give us a chance.
Okay.
If we're all wrong, we're all wrong.
Right.
I do not think so.
Right.
I've convinced myself anyway. Otherwise, I really think it makes this community stand out one more time for Knoxville to distinguish itself, this county, and the people that I've said 100 times. There are more caring people in this county than any place I've ever been.
Yeah, well, and therefore, here's a chance for them to kind of say that. Besides the taxpayer savings, the fact that the streets will get a certain amount of, I don't know if the word to say is right is cleanup, but it will change the streets, because there will be people who need care who will be getting it in the appropriate place instead of looking for it on the street. I think the other benefit, as Randy was talking, is that what he's just saying, it is a demonstrable effort on the part of this community to say we are different.
Yes, and then my closing thoughts to you is, what if it was you?
Yeah.
What if it was you? What if it was your child? What was your husband?
Right.
Someone in your family? Here's a place that can help them. And just like Randy said, give us a chance. God has said we're going to have it, and whatever God's behind cannot fail.
Yeah, exactly. Now, how many other people besides the two of you have been working on this?
Oh, goodness. It's a lot.
A lot of people.
I worry about that sometime. A lot of it seems to flow. We get to go everywhere together.
But it's not,
but gosh, there are so many
Okay.
people, and the people at Helen Ross McNabb,
Okay.
Both of the mayor's office.
It's a
I don't think
community
I've seen anything quite like it for us coming together on a common goal like we've done this. It's refreshing to me.
Yes.
Well, that's good to know. Then that means we're probably on the right track. I would say we're a bit out of time tonight. I want to thank my guests for their passion and their advocacy. But I've seen that in both of you, and we'll see you next week, same time, same.